Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win. Room 442. That's what you call a rolling R.
I love that.
Not bad, huh?
Not bad at all.
It's one of the few things I'm good at. James Sharman, Sara, Poraria. What's happening? How's the week been?
Oh, international break, thrilling as usual.
And listen, you love your Argentina and your Spain, and these teams are in action, but I sense, though, that you're not embracing this window.
You know what? I wasn't until last night. Spain played, but they're already qualified for Euro, so it's not as crazy. But Lamine Yamal scored his second goal for the team. Still 16, still scoring. Great. I like to keep eyes on, the younger players, especially when they're playing a team like Cyprus. You see more like subs and experiments, I guess. But last night, the CONMEBOL qualifiers, Argentina and Uruguay, Brazil and Colombia. There were so many good games. I love the drama. And next week there's more. So I will say, Europe's a little boring right now, but I was happy to watch all the games last night.
And if you didn't feel something when you saw Luis Diaz's dad in the stands after Diaz scores 2 goals as Colombia beat Brazil.
Cheers.
What that country's been through. Because I don't think we realize quite what that abduction, and for those hearing it for the first time, where the hell have you been? But Luis Diaz of Liverpool and Colombia, his dad was kidnapped.
And his mom was too.
And his mum was too. Now, she was released the first day, I think, or first couple of days. And then for almost 2 weeks, his dad was missing.
Yeah.
And the whole country kind of got behind this family. It's a big deal. Even though, you hate to say it, but these abductions aren't uncommon in that part of the world. This particular one really caught the attention of the country. So he was released, and then he was at the match last night, right?
Last night, yeah.
And you see him in the stands. It was pretty powerful, wasn't it, watching his son score 2 goals?
Yeah, in Colombia as well, against Brazil. Brazil's leading early. Gabriel Martinelli scores 4 minutes into the game. Luis Diaz scores not only the tiebreaker in the 90th, but then the winning goal in the 95th. And I think it was just such a full circle moment. And these are the scenes where you're like, oh my God, I love football.
Yeah.
It was beautiful.
It is. And listen, we're biased, obviously, but I don't think any other sport captures emotion like football. And maybe that's really one-eyed.
Yeah.
And hockey fans and rugby fans, of which I'm one, and a hockey fan, will argue. But because it's such an everyman sport, every person sport, so blue collar in many ways, it just, I don't know, it just captures something special that other sports can't quite get to the same level.
I feel also, especially in South America, you see it more. Even last night, Argentina lost to Uruguay 2-0 in Buenos Aires, but the entire time, the Bombonera, the stadium, was shaking and the fans were screaming the whole time. They were chanting their songs. And I just think you don't see this in other sports like that. And in South America, I think it's because football is looked almost as to a religion. It is something that it doesn't matter if you have money, if you have nothing, you have football.
Yeah, maybe it's not the sport, you're right. Maybe it's a culture that embraces football in those parts of the world, because you watch a match here in North America, right? We're becoming a relevant soccer nation, perhaps in Canada, but certainly in the States, it's getting bigger and bigger as well. They're great experiences, but not quite the same.
It's definitely
the fan experience isn't the same.
Yeah.
And it's just the way we've been trained in North America as sports fans to react to what's happening, not to kind of react to what's going to happen. And that's the difference. And that's fine. Doesn't make it wrong or right, but it is different in South America and in Europe when you're experiencing that. And then when you see a Luis Diaz situation, man, it's just palpable.
Yeah. It's
not a dry eye in the house.
No,
right?
Definitely not.
One of those. It was great. And what a couple of results last night. Your boy Messi wasn't happy, by the way, with the young Uruguayans.
You know what? Messi doesn't get involved too frequently, but when he does, I live for it, because
you wouldn't want to fight him, would you?
No, because that's the thing. We know he's quite small, but when he gets angry, he gets vicious. The elbow and the hand to the neck, I was like, but apparently you never know, right? You hear the reports in the morning, oh, he said this, he said that, who's to say? But it's one of those things where you very rarely see it. But yeah, Argentina officially lost their 12 games winning streak since that Saudi Arabia loss in the World Cup. And yeah, honestly, I think the takeaway from this, though, is I'm so excited to see Uruguay playing really good football, because we haven't since 2010.
We know why, right?
Darwin Núñez?
Well, that's part of the reason.
Oh, Luis Diaz? Sorry, was
And
that
the gaffer.
Oh, Marcelo Bielsa. Exactly.
He's
Yeah.
so much fun. He gets
Yeah.
guys playing for him, doesn't he?
He really has gotten this team and really picked the best players. And yeah, it was really good football though. That was the thing. Like I was watching a great match. So yeah, it was good.
What is it about players short in stature, how they can be such dicks to play against?
Is it the Napoleon complex?
Maybe it is, yeah.
They gotta stick up for themselves.
When you're playing in a match, could be football, could be rugby, whatever sport. If there's a skirmish, there's always a short fella or short girl involved. Always.
I think it's because you have to back yourself. Like you can't be scared because people are gonna assume that you are easy to take on. So you got to be like a little pit bull about it.
Yeah. I'd always much rather play the big guys.
Yeah.
Always. Much rather have that.
Yeah.
Because you know where you stand with them.
Yeah.
The little buggers are going to be throwing the elbows and biting and doing whatever else.
Won't
Like,
be
God,
clean. Nothing will be clean.
guy's a prick. He knows he's a prick, right? But that's what makes him. And that's Messi when he gets angry.
Yeah.
That's what he does. So, but he'll bounce back, I think.
Yeah, I think they'll be fine. Well, they actually have to take on Brazil next week. And can I start with my first question?
Yeah. So big question. It's a Fridays, right? So we ask big questions entering the weekend or looking back, looking further forward. Where it's going to be no club football, of course, outside North America. But yes, go ahead. You got the first stab at it.
So I'm going to keep it in South America. Will Brazil qualify for the World Cup? Now, listen, I'm jumping the gun here, but it's just for the conversation. They are now winless in 3. They drew Venezuela, they lost Uruguay, and then they just lost to Colombia last night. They now have to play Argentina, who have lost their first game, and you know they're going to be pissed off. And that this is Argentina-Brazil, I think, is the biggest rivalry in football. It's the fiercest. This is historic. So nothing about this game will be easy, but they are now 2 points out of the relegation zone in this World Cup qualifier. I know Ancelotti's allegedly coming in June, but this is a lot of pressure for Fernando Diniz, even though his team just won the Copa Libertadores because he coaches 2 teams. I can't keep up. But, I mean, they look really bad. Vinicius Jr. went off injured last night, by the way. So, really going to be difficult for them. Already missing Neymar.
Now, what is it? It's 18 games?
Yeah, they have to play. Is it 18?
There's 10.
Yeah.
So 18 games.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right now, they're on 7 points.
Yeah,
and,
2 points above relegation, though. Like the knockout zone or whatever you want to call it.
They're going to qualify. Could you imagine, though?
No.
A World Cup in North America.
I think for the safety of everyone in Brazil, I want them to make it. And because of the new format, 6 teams are going, and then there's a 7th position playoff spot.
Yeah.
That I think they're gonna play some Oceania team.
They're gonna if Brazil in a 48-team World Cup didn't qualify, then that's the game's done.
FIFA's done.
Stop
We're
it.
close. Yeah, that's it. No.
Burst every football in the world.
Yeah.
We're stopping this fucking sport. It's done. It's cancelled.
Yeah.
Done.
I'm curious to see what.
Why would you say that? Now you got me thinking of Brazil not qualifying for the.
No.
Of course they're going to qualify.
Because after they play Argentina, the next qualifying round is not till September 2024.
Long time to wait, but Big Carlo comes in by that point.
Carlo, maybe Neymar's back. You know what I mean? It's going to be a completely different team. Who even knows? So I was jumping the gun here a bit, but it's just they look bad. There's something wrong here.
Do you think Neymar is kind of happy about this?
You know what? I hope not, but it wouldn't surprise me.
He's thinking, I'm going to return and lead my country to the promised land. After the decline is palpable in my absence.
But then again, you see what it's meant to him playing for Brazil. He has been, you've seen him in tears when Brazil loses.
He cries every bloody week. Doesn't matter what's happening. No one cries more than Neymar.
I don't think, if truly Neymar felt happy about the fact that Brazil isn't doing well and he's not playing, I don't even think I want to know that. That's sick. You can't be that self-involved where you want your nation to suffer because you're not there.
As long as if you're confident that the nation will turn itself around, though, I can see why you're not that devastated by this. I've spoken to former players and I've asked them, when you're hurt and you see your replacement doing really well, do you enjoy and celebrate wins? And a lot of them will say, no. We still want to see our team do well, but not with our competition doing well. And they could be pretty selfish individuals, professional footballers.
Shock.
And Neymar, I can see him being pretty selfish.
Yeah.
Like that element to him.
Maybe. I mean, listen, like I said, they got Argentina next week, and then they got a whole almost 9 months until they're back. And so
where is it again? Do you know? Is it in Argentina or in Brazil?
It's in Brazil.
Or is it in Brazil?
Not that Argentina hasn't won in Brazil before.
Interesting.
No, I think it's good Argentina also lost to Uruguay because that just adds more fuel to the fire. They're going to be pissed.
Canada play Jamaica.
Yeah, tonight.
This Friday in Jamaica, then back to BMO Field in Toronto on Tuesday. So my big question is, will Mauro Biello assert himself as the front runner for the Canada job through these two matches? So that essentially means he's got to win them both. If he wins them both then I think he's clearly the front runner for the job. If they don't, then he's going to be dropping down that.
I mean, let's be logical about this. Canada should beat Jamaica. They are a better team. And it's nothing against Jamaica. It's the talent that Canada have right now. Canada are a better team. So I think they should. I know looking back on the Japan game, fine, you can say it was a friendly, but honestly, Canada was never going to win that game because Japan's a better team than Canada. Like, there are certain things that these are just facts. And Japan's one of maybe the best men's team right now. Like, they are fantastic.
Maybe the most informed team. Yeah. Certainly up there in world football right now.
No kidding. So, I mean, that I understand, fine. But I think Canada should win both of these games. And I think, he should be a front runner right now because I think what this team needs right now is some consistency. And I think the more they shift around, the more it's going to cause problems. But I think the bigger issue is not necessarily the coach, but it's this divide. I mean, besides Canada soccer and everything off the pitch as well, but it seems like there's a divide between the players. And we've spoken about this before with some of the older guys and the younger guys and all this. This is the issue. I don't feel like this group of gentlemen are united.
You know what? It isn't the band of brothers that perhaps it was during World Cup qualifying.
Definitely not.
And even that was overblown, I think, a certain amount. And now John Herdman's left. He didn't leave a particularly happy room necessarily. But like you said, they're better than Jamaica. Although Jamaica now, compared to when they played them in qualifying, is a different Jamaica. Mikel Antonio now is being called up. He's decided for Jamaica. Leon Bailey's obviously emerging. Ethan Pinnock's just committed himself. So at the back now, they've got more stability as well. So they're better. And last time they played in Jamaica, you remember the pitch? It was just awful. It's so difficult to play Canada's style of football on it. It was 0-0. And prior to that, of course, they smashed them in Toronto. Remember that game to qualify for the World Cup? Don't forget that one.
I was there crying because I spent half the match in the washroom because I was so cold. I had my hands under the dryer.
That's why you're crying. Not because Canada's qualifying for a World Cup.
No.
You're emotional. You were freezing. Because
the week before we were in Costa Rica watching them play 30 degrees, got the drip, like nothing. And then we get taken to BMO Field. That was, I do remember that. But the thing is with this, I hate when people complain about like the pitches in CONCACAF because it's everywhere. And like, you got to be used to it. Like, we've seen.
That was bad though. That was even for CONCACAF, that was
flooded
terrible.
In Panama. Also, Canada, I'm sick of this narrative because you play on like turf ice in the Azteca or whatever you want to call it. You're going to pull your ACL. Like, that was so stupid to me because I was like, if one of you get injured, Sam Adekube's doing flips in the snow. I'm like, oh my God.
It's one of the great iconic moments in Canadian sports history, Sarah.
But I think that like that's really stupid, and you're just like, you all could have gotten injured, and the fact that we're like, we're gonna use the ice to our advantage.
Well,
guess where there's no ice? Qatar. How'd you guys do? Like, this to me was so dumb. But no, CONCACAF in general, the pitches are really bad, and I think that whole organization needs to fix that because it's kind of scary because I wouldn't be shocked if we see injuries. So, yeah.
Well, Biello's been criticised somewhat for the squad. He's not trying to gamble too much on younger players, which I'm fine with because pretty much the group he's got is being the group that's got them to a World Cup. And he's an interim coach. You can't experiment too much. It's not the right time for that. You've got to win these games because, just to clarify, it's the Nations League quarterfinals. You win this 2-game series, not only do you qualify for the semifinals, but you qualify for Copa America next year in the States. Massive. So these are big games. So you can't experiment too much. The concern up front for me, though, is that Jonathan David and Carl Laren, it's been well written about, are just in really poor form domestically and not scoring goals.
Yeah.
And these guys are reliant now. I think they should be good enough against Jamaica, you would think, to be impact players. And at the back, they're aging. There's issues there. The midfield's better now. Stakio's back there. Missed the last game against Japan. That was a big loss. Tejon's back as well. So I think they should get through this series. Absolutely. But the question is, will Mauro Biello assert himself as the front runner? Yeah, I think he will. I think they'll get through these 2 games, and he will. If they don't win both games or they struggle, even if they just qualify, through some dramatic footballing way, I can see other names coming to the forefront. But we'll see. There's still,
names.
I know. Well, that's the question, right? So we'll see. So that was my big question entering this weekend. You got another one for us?
No, but I did, but you have a better one that we spoke about off camera that I
Which one was that?
Everton.
Everton, yes.
Yeah,
The big news is Friday morning.
Yeah.
Everton have been sanctioned 10 points in the Premier League for financial fair play irregularities. They're now dead last, tied with Sheffield United. They're just up on goal differential, 2 points out of the drop zone. Now, they will appeal this. I still think regardless, Everton will be fine this season. They're playing much better football. There's some really bad teams at the back end of the Premier League. But if I'm an Everton fan, I'm pretty pissed off.
Oh, I'm cheesed.
Chelsea and Man City also embroiled in financial fair play for months and months and months. Still just sitting there, nothing happening. Everton, boom, out of nowhere, 10 points. That was easy to solve.
Yeah. I mean, I think, first of all, I'm curious to see if is it going to be like a Juventus situation like last year? Lose the points, just kidding. Now we're back. Oh, look, sixth place all of a sudden.
Same thing, yeah.
That's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And I also think that's what should happen because I completely agree. If you're not going to treat every team in the league like this is absolutely biased towards where your money is coming from. And you're just making it more obvious to the audience.
Yeah.
We know that the Prem favors the big teams like City, like Chelsea, because they bring in so much money. But now because you're going after Everton, you've made it so blatantly obvious that you're sweeping this situation under the rug, but you're going to target a team like Everton who, are not they're just a mid-level team
like low-hanging fruit.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. So I don't know. To me, I think Everton will appeal this. I think they'll get their points back if if Juventus can do it, and we know Juventus have been up to some fishy things over the past
shenanigans.
decades. Yeah, shenanigans, if you will. So, and I hope for Everton they do, because at this point, even if they did break the rules, clearly that doesn't matter anymore.
You know what? And also, there's very different situations, right, with Chelsea and City and Everton. So what I understand so far with Everton is they lost more than you're allowed to lose, essentially, and that's why they got the sanction. But they lost that money because they pulled out of a naming rights deal with a company with connections to Russia, and this is during the beginning of the Ukraine conflict. And they didn't want to have anything to do with it. So they pulled that deal off the table. It collapsed, essentially. And because of that loss, so they kind of did it for the right reasons, and they lost the money. Meanwhile, City and Chelsea, far more nefarious allegations about what they were trying to do, albeit in previous generations under different ownership.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
More complicated, maybe, and maybe that's why Everton. But I'm if I'm an Everton fan, I'm furious.
I'm furious.
What the hell?
Too.
Why us?
Yeah, I think though they'll make a good show, and in the EU right now, you can't even travel into the EU if you're a Russian citizen. So I'm assuming if they present this case, there's no way that they're not going to agree with it.
But surely they have presented it.
I mean, I guess I don't know the ins and outs of how long this has been ongoing before they've made this decision, but yeah, it's unfair for Everton. I'm not liking it, and we know City and City especially, who are they in bed with right now? Come on,
Mind you, if you're Sean Dyche, right, this guy is the genius at pitting them against the rest of the world. Yeah. He will use this as motivation.
All right, boys.
All right, boys, yeah. No one wants us to win. Everyone hates us. Yeah. Especially the fucking Premier League. Let's prove them all wrong, boys. You can totally see it, can't you? That's exactly what's going to happen.
I love it.
You got another one?
I was going to ask you about Real Madrid because I mentioned Vinicius Jr. Out. Camavinga out. Jude Bellingham out. Is it the demise that I've been waiting for?
You better hope so. You better hope they're terrible injuries and they're out for a long time.
We have, but those three are three crucial pieces for Real Madrid right now. So I'm curious because this also leads me into international break is not over. We still have this coming weekend and early next week. Every time there's international duty, the injuries swarm in, and I'm curious to see how many more injuries do you expect from this break? Especially you as a Liverpool fan, put your Liverpool hat on because you are taking on Manchester City bright and early next Saturday
But Haaland got hurt this week playing for Norway. So that's good news.
Norway are playing international friendlies. What are they I thought he didn't play that game.
No, he got hurt.
Oh, he got hurt in training?
I'm not sure with training or where it was hurt, but he's definitely questionable for the Man City game.
Oh, you are loving it.
No, not at all. I want to play Haaland. I want him in that 11 because he just gets the ball 14, 15 times a game.
Or does City just play better without him?
Yeah, exactly, right?
What are we going to do? Yeah.
Exactly. No, I'm yeah, listen, there's always the threat of injuries, and there's too much football, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
It is what it is, I mean, there's a lot of... These players playing in South America, for example, that's a long way to go and a long way to come back, and they're long-haul flights.
I have jet lag after I travel overseas.
I got jet lag driving to work this morning. Exhausted right now. These poor bastards. Jesus.
Oh.
Shall we take a break?
Yeah.
Because when we come back, we promised this last week, our top 5 Premier League managers who you'd like to have a beer with. I wonder how our lists compare and conflict.
I'll tell you right now, my prediction, they're really similar.
Are they?
I think so.
Have you seen mine?
No, but I know you, James.
We all assume that Big Ange is number 1.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, don't worry. I'll get in there. We have a few for sure.
Okay. All right. That and more, including our 4-4-2 pick strategy moving forward when we come back. Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win. Welcome back to Room 442. We could be interrupted any time now with one of our homestand sports icons, legends, Sean McCormick, coming back from the can. We'll find out and see how it went down for him. But he might not. He might just be waiting outside. Listen, we teased this before the break. We've been thinking about this for a while. And one of the managers in the Premier League specifically, which ones we'd rather have a beer with? Who would be the best drinking partner? So we've both put together our list of top 5 ranked beer drinking managers in the Prem. I'll let you present yours first, and then we shall discuss.
Okay. Well, as we kind of alluded to, I think number 1 is going to be Ange. Big Ange. Because not only do I think he can hold his liquor and he can drink well, but I have so many questions about his transition to the Premier League. I'd like to know about him.
Yeah.
Aussies are usually pretty easygoing as well, so I think it would be a very, you wouldn't feel like you're sitting down with a coach of the Premier League. You're sitting down with just, Joe from over there.
Every man, right?
Every man.
Yeah, exactly. Really easy to talk to.
Yeah.
He'll have some great worldly advice without being arrogant about it. Like I'd ask Ange questions about life. And help me out where I am currently in my life. He'd give me great advice, I think. And he also wouldn't miss around.
Yeah.
He wouldn't miss around.
Never.
Be all right, my turn.
Yeah.
My
no,
round.
You got the last one.
Yeah,
I got this one.
Come on, I got this one.
Yeah, it's fine.
Definitely a pint drinker as well, right?
Yeah. He's not having anything too fancy or too fruity. It's a nice cold beer.
I think, yeah. No IPAs for Big Ange. I don't think.
No.
Nah. So we very much agree with that. Who else you got in this top 5?
Okay, so this is from our first to 5th.
Sure, let's do that.
Number 2, this is biased. I know this won't be yours, but we will have the same. I'm promising you after this. For me, it has to be Pep Guardiola, simply because I need to pick his brain. I need to know what's going on in there.
But pre-match Pep or post-match Pep?
No. We spoke pre-match Pep because he'll be in good spirits, or post-match only if they have an absolute screamer of a game and they're winning 3-0. Everyone scores. I think he's maybe the best coach we've ever seen in the history of the game. I need to just know how his brain works. I probably won't even get a notion, but just sitting there and being able to ask a few things, seeing about his time at City to Barca to Bayern. I'm so curious about just so much of his. This is more for me. This is for me.
I get it. I mean, he didn't make my top 5.
Yeah, that's nuts.
And the only reason was I think he'd get too much into tactics, which I find kind of boring.
Oh,
He'd be pulling out the salt cellars, the napkins, and moving things around. You love that stuff.
I'd be like, do you remember at Barcelona, the reason I put Messi over here? Well, because, and I'd be like, oh my God, it makes so much sense.
Yeah.
No, for me, it's a personal one. I will say that. This one was personal, but I just think he's so brilliant. Even if I could just get a little idea of how his brain works, I'd be so pleased.
Do you think it'd open the door, though, to get a peek or not?
Oh, who knows?
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it? The more he drinks, the more you'd be able to open that door wider and wider, perhaps.
Yeah.
But then maybe you'll see the madman within, because he is a madman.
Oh, he is.
That might scare you off.
It might. I mean, it depends how much. And it's going to be red wine. He's Spanish. Let's not.
Yeah,
he's going to have a nice glass of red wine. So how many of those are we having? Well, only time will tell.
Well, a number, I would imagine.
Yes.
A number. Okay, so you got big.
2?
Number 2, I actually have Sean Dyche.
Okay, he's my number 3.
Is he?
Yeah. See,
kind of similar to Big Ange.
Yeah.
He can hold his pints.
Yeah.
For sure he can. There's also a great press conference a few years ago now talking about playing looky-likeys. Do you remember that one? And a game he played with his mates, you know, you'd be at a pub or a bar and like you see someone, hey, he looks like Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
I love playing that game.
Yeah.
I'm really great at it too, by the way.
Ooh,
Fantastic.
okay.
I think I'd have a lot of fun with Sean Dyche.
Yeah.
I think it could go off the rails.
Oh, I think
it could turn into a lock-in.
You would wake up the next morning, like on the floor, not knowing where you were, like your pants over here. Like it would be a nightmare.
Whoa. Yeah, but Sean wouldn't be present, just to confirm. Right?
I didn't mean like that.
Sean Dyche is going for a run, probably. I don't think Sean gets hangovers. I think he's a hard man.
Okay.
No hangover would even consider battling Sean Dyche.
Yeah, he'd drink you under the table, though.
Destroy you. Destroy you, absolutely.
Yeah, so he's my number 3.
Okay, who's your number 2? Oh, your number 2 is Pep.
2, so
okay.
I'll do my number 4.
Yeah.
And then you, Roberto De Zerbi. Give me De Zerbi ball.
I didn't consider De Zerbi, but that's not bad.
I think he would be a blast as well. Like Sean Dyche, I think he'd be super fun. I think he's able to separate the football from a good time. Mm-hmm. Italian. It's going to be fun.
Would he get emotional the more he drinks, perhaps?
We'd both have a cry.
Yeah, I could see that totally.
I just loved Moise Caicedo so much. And
because you love football more than most people I know.
Yeah.
I think he's someone that just...
Passion.
Pure passion.
Yeah, I think he'd be a good time. And also, who hasn't loved Brighton since he's been there? Like, talk to me about the team too. Like, it's just brilliant. Like, how are you able to, I don't know, like just create this really fun team to watch too. But I think he'd be a blast.
Also, because you've already spoken to Pep.
Oh.
You could give him some advice.
I'll be like, guess who told me they really like you? Pep, he's like, I keep hearing this guy.
Don't sign a long-term contract, Roberto. Yeah. There's going to be a big job at City opening up in a couple of years' time.
Oh my God, can you imagine? No, I think he'd be good. So clearly you didn't have him. I thought maybe you would.
My third will stun you.
Oh, is it Heck?
Nope. Roy Hodgson.
Oh, Roy. Ooh, he might have a drink.
Imagine the stories this guy has.
Yeah.
How
old is he, though?
76.
You might not want to drink too much with him. I feel like that could...
I could see... No, Roy be drinking sherries.
Yeah.
I think, right? Sipping. He wouldn't be drinking heavily.
No, you would.
I would be. Absolutely. But Roy, imagine this. He's coached in so many countries, so many clubs, teams, nations. He's seen it all. I think he'd be brilliant. And he'd be the kind of guy who would just quietly shuffle off to the toilet and on the way there, pay the bill.
Oh, I love that.
Wouldn't he? And he'd come back, and he goes, James, I've, it's time for me to go home. He'd put his hand on my arm and go, don't worry, I'll cover the bill.
It's been a pleasure.
It's been an absolute pleasure. You're a very nice young man. I feel warm.
Yeah.
Better as a person, having spoken to Roy.
Yeah, you'd walk home with like your hands in your pocket, just smiling, like
whistling maybe.
Yeah. You would. You'd look like you're like out of a TV show or something. No, you just feel very fulfilled, I'd say.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
a good one. No,
right?
That's a fair shout.
Not a party.
Not a party.
But it's satisfying.
Yeah.
A nice evening.
Yeah.
A nice evening.
I like that. Okay. So I only have one left. Who's your 4 then?
Club.
Yeah. He was just below.
Because people love him or hate him.
Yeah.
I love him. He's got the smile. He's just, I think, a big personality. Mm-hmm. Again, great stories. And a manager. Players love playing for him, so I think he'd be a great drinking mate. Well,
you're not also having pints. You're having steins.
Yeah, big steins.
Big stein guy. The only concern I would have about Klopp is one stein too many, an angry Klopp comes out. He might be the guy fighting someone else in the bar. Like, that's where I could see that going. It could be great, but you have to watch him because you know his temper.
You have this vision of you got the smiley Klopp at first, right? You're really happy, you're having a great old time. Then suddenly that underbite comes protruding out. And like, oh, shit.
Yeah, I gotta go.
What do you mean by that? Yeah. Nothing, Jürgen, I promise.
The impressions today. Yeah, no, I think Klopp would be great, but I think it could go south quick, and you have to make sure it doesn't.
Yeah, keep him happy.
Yeah, have to.
Keep him happy. Okay, who's your fifth?
My final.
Yeah.
It's actually Erik ten Hag because he needs a drink more than I do.
Oh, that's very well done. That's brilliant. Yeah.
To be fair, he needs, and it's not a beer. It's like a straight up whiskey. He needs something strong and just warms you right up immediately. I feel bad for Erik ten Hag at this point. Like he needs a buddy. I can be that. He needs to have a drink. He needs to have a chat. So this is more for him than
This is, you guys are sitting at the bar, aren't you?
Oh, yeah,
At the bar,
yeah.
and the bartender's given a couple of
it's
shot
very
glasses
much
and a bottle.
one of these.
Yep,
Yeah, it's
staring at
one
his
of
shoes.
these. It's one of those. It's just
Every now and again.
Yeah. It's just again. Yeah. I just think if anyone in the Prem needs a drink right now, it is him.
Do you think, does he become emotional the more he drinks, or does he get angry like Klopp?
I kind of see this getting more emotional because if you think about last year when Ten Hag came, they got back into their flow. They were playing really good football. We all saw Manchester United turn it around. I think he does have a connection with this team and with some of the players. So I think now it's like everything's just going wrong, whether it's injuries, players not playing, the issue upstairs and whatnot. I think like he must just be gutted and he's like, why isn't this working out? I've literally done everything. There's nothing anyone else can do right now, right?
You're right. So and now big Sir Jim Ratcliffe has arrived.
Yeah.
Maybe part of the conversation is about, so do you know much about this guy?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
so much to talk about.
Yeah.
Has he got a clean slate? Does he become optimistic the more he drinks because he's got this fresh slate now, perhaps?
Maybe, but I don't.
No, I think you're right. I think it's depressed.
I think it's depressed.
Really
I
depressed.
also think selfishly, the stories, if he gets enough in him, would be crazy.
With the Ronaldo series
the
of
Ronaldo
events.
situation alone, I'm sure would just be unhinged. But that Garnacho guy in the locker room, he's such a dick. Why?
You think he'd just lay it all out?
I think if you got him drunk enough, after the sadness, he would just start like word vomiting naturally, as we all do when we get to.
And you can imagine the next day he wakes up and be like, oh, what did I say? Oh no, God, did I really say that?
Mail.
Shit.
Sara Poraria reports.
My fifth is Thomas Frank.
Yeah, good shout.
Great hair.
Yeah.
Really interesting guy, right? He sees football, I think, differently to a lot of coaches. I want to know what his ambitions are in the game as well, because Brentford's a really good club and it's perfect for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like that, though. We never know what we're getting from them.
You don't know. Yeah. Exactly, but does he have aspirations to assume control of a big club one day? And could he do the job?
Fair.
I do wonder if would he forget to get around in? Not because he's cheap or anything, but he gets talking, and then before you know it, you've bought him 5 pints. Although I'm not sure they eat pints with him. But
I think this could be one
drinker.
where you end up sitting there, and he just keeps talking and talking and talking, and you realize, geez, we've been talking about this for 20 minutes, and I haven't said a word.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
It's time for something else now.
Yeah.
I know Ivan
Toney's
Toney's a good striker. I know that.
Oh,
I know you missed him this year.
Don't even bring up.
And Buemo's underrated. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, I get it.
You made your point. Maybe.
Yeah.
But I just think he's an interesting guy.
For sure.
I like his press conferences. So my 5 are Frank, Klopp, Hodgson, Deitch, and Ange. And yours are Ange, Pep,
Sean Deitch, Roberto De Zerbi, Eric Ten Hag.
Let us know what you think. Who would you like to have a beer with? Rank him in the top 5 managers in the Premier League. When we come back, 442picks.ca, none to pick this week because it's internationals, but we're going to look at our strategy moving forward. Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win. Let's talk some 442picks.ca. Nothing to pick this week, of course, because it's the international break, but let's look forward, Sarah, to our strategies moving forward. Because in recent weeks, we've kind of stumbled a little bit. Mm-hmm. You are still very much in control of your own destiny. Albert's creeping up slowly. He's getting quicker and quicker in contention, I think, now for a place at the final table, so to speak. But we're just a third of the way into the season.
Yeah, early days. Still.
How are you strategizing your picks moving forward?
I'm going to pick the exact opposite of what you pick. Because that seems to be, we've been on the same page in the last few weeks and it's been going poorly. So I know whatever you do, I'll do the opposite.
That's
and
fair
surely
enough.
I'll have, what was it, 2 weeks ago, you only got 2 games. Even if I
That was a crazy week.
That was a crazy week, but I'm saying if I pick similar, if there's a week like that comes ahead, I pick the opposite of you, I've got 8 games.
You know what? It's pretty good advice, actually.
Genuinely, I don't think it's bad.
So should I go against the head?
Yeah, I think you might have to. It's getting to the point now, especially also once the Christmas break ends, go for literally the exact opposite of what you think, because it's going to get crazy.
Maybe focus on draws and away wins, get them points, go for the big reward.
Yeah, because if you pick, it's more points, right, for the aways. Go for a couple juicy ones.
I'm going to start betting more on Chelsea. We've been here before, I know.
I have anxiety.
I've seen enough. I think the corner's been turned. They're playing good football. I think they're going to get some big results coming up in the next little while. I think Bournemouth are improving as well. They were always a write-off, just dismissed them straight away. And Everton, like I mentioned before, Everton with the 10-point deduction, they are going to be angry and fighting for points week in and week out. It's going to be interesting. 442picks.ca, free to enter. You got plenty, a whole week pretty much, to get ready for next week's games, and you can win a ton of money if you're really smart. Room 442 is brought to you by North Star Bets. That's a win.